Can you handle it? It's not enough to want it. It's not enough to choose it. Can you handle it? First, I realized that God hardly gives people finished products. God hardly gives people finished products. He gives raw materials. And because of time, I'm just going to read some of the excerpts from the book so that we can move fast. This is what God does. He shows you what to do. He gives you what to use. And then he surrounds you with an enabling environment. Whatever God wants to give a man, he gives in the form of a seed. So to create 8 billion people, God created 2 humans, surrounded them with raw materials, and then planted in their hearts a desire to multiply and fill the earth with other humans. I mean, that's what the Bible calls being blessed. He blessed them. 2 people. Put them in a garden. And then planted desire to multiply in their hearts. That's what it means to be blessed. Allow me to read one portion of scripture. It never ceases to amaze me. Deuteronomy chapter 8, from verse 7 to verse 9. We know it, but I want you to read slowly and read between the lines. For the Lord your God is bringing you into a good land, a land with brooks, streams, and deep springs gushing out into the valleys and hills. A land with wheat and barley, vines and fig trees, pomegranates, olive oil and honey. A land where bread will not be scarce and you will lack nothing. A land where the rocks are iron and you can dig copper out of the hills. Did you see it? A land flowing with what? Milk and honey. But I want you to look at the list there. What are those things? It's a land of raw materials. This is 2023. Look at that list again and see whether you really desire this list. As your land flowing with milk and honey. Okay? A land with brooks, streams, and deep springs gushing into the valleys and hills. A land with wheat and barley, vines and fig trees, and pomegranates, olive oil and honey. A land where bread will not be scarce. The only way bread will not be scarce is I have to do something with these raw materials. Do you understand now? Then it says a land where you can dig rocks, where the rocks are iron, and you can dig copper out of the hills. Did you see that? If you don't dig, then even when you dig the copper self, can you eat copper? You have to process. You have to turn these raw materials into goods, into services, for this land to become what? A land flowing with milk and honey. As my first discovery. This is the next one. Man is God's agent on earth. Whatever God intends to do for you, He will do through you and others. Okay? God does not do for man what He designed man to do for himself. Now this is important. Anything that God is going to do for you, He will do through you and through other people. People will not do for you more than you are willing to do for yourself. Did you catch that? Number one, everything that God wants to do for me, He will do through a man. I am the most important of the men that God wants to use for me. Because you will not do for me more than I am willing to do for myself. I say it in another way. People will help you to succeed when it becomes apparent that you are likely to succeed without their help. I had this auntie, when I was leaving secondary school, in those days, she was a lecturer in Ogun State University. I mean, she was a professor. And you know, in those days, Nigeria, you have to know somebody to gain admission and all that. I'd heard gist, but I didn't have all the gist until it was my turn. And so you go to this, my auntie, and then she will say, so what did you score in your WAEC? So let's assume you have like 7 credits, and maybe you have 1 pass, And then she says, what do you score in JAM? Maybe cutoff is 280 and you have 278. Help me. She looks at your results and says, I'm sorry, I cannot help you. You need to have all your credits and you need to meet the cutoff before I can help you. And that was our reaction. So where is the help? But it is because of the environment that we have been raised in. This concept of meritocracy is foreign to so many people. And that's the reason why we have a lot of incompetence, especially in the public service space. Because what people call help is lower the standard for me. Do you understand now? Lower the standard for me. But real help is you are trying to go, say, to 100%, and you have gotten to 99%, and then somebody pushes you to 100. That is help. Some people, their concept of help is I'm going to 100% and I am at 10%. Real success, nobody helps you. A lot of times, this is what I'm trying to say. Until you are successful already, technically speaking. So many years ago, I talked about this story, how that I was reading the book by John Maxwell, Developing the Leaders Around You. And when I read that book the first time, I did not agree with him. Because somewhere along the line in the book, he listed qualities to look out for in leaders you should develop. When I saw those qualities, I said, these ones are leaders already. So I came up with my own theory. No, you can raise people. You can help people. Ladies and gentlemen, I tried for at least about 10 years. And I got my fingers burnt. I found out that you can never teach a duck to fly like an eagle. So the best of organizations, what do? The best of organizations, where people want to work, the Mobiles, the Shells, Chevrons, what's the first thing they do? They recruit top talent. Before training. It's the same concept. What have you done for yourself before we start helping you? So in those days, they will tell you if you don't have a first class, if you don't have a 2-1, you cannot get a job. It is not because they discriminate, but because they know. The reason why a person has a third class is the same reason why the person may not be able to thrive here. It's not about your grades. It's about your person and your habits. That's the truth. So when we talk about self-help, you need to understand you help yourself because that is the key to other people helping you. Even the Yorubas will say that it's the child that reaches out, that the adult will carry. So you've got to help yourself. That's what I mean by building capacity. You have to develop yourself. So I talk about my pastor a lot because he has helped me. But then I found out I was trying to help other people differently from the way he helped me, and I couldn't succeed. When I tell this part of my story, it's very, very painful because I wasted a lot of time. I don't do that anymore now. As in, I don't do it anymore. You're not working hard on yourself. You are not likely to succeed without me. I'm not getting involved. Because I cannot help you to do for you what you are not willing to do for you. Think about it. I can just recommend books here. Okay, I think you should read that book. Oh, I think you should read that book. And one day it dawned on me, who is telling me to read Craig Groeschel's books? Nobody. Nobody. The last one I bought, after I bought it, I didn't know. Okay, I had some dollars in my account. I thought after I bought the book, I was still going to be able to do something. The moment they took the money for the book, my account started looking like a bad result. But guess what? It did not pain me. I have the book. I have the book. Do you understand now? So you've got to do what? You've got to develop yourself. Okay? Man is God's agency on earth, but men will not do for you what you are not willing to do for yourself. As a matter of fact, people will consider what you have done for yourself to determine how they will help you. Is it not amazing how you go to the house of a rich man? He will give you stipends. Then he will take big money and go and invest in the life of a rich person that is not asking for it. Our former vice president said that the cars he could not afford, that he used to pray to have, that after some time when he became successful, people offered those same cars to him as gifts. So he was advising the youth, chill, succeed. These things you are running after, they will run after you eventually. But the thing you must do is develop capacity. When I left the university, I had about 20 presentations I'd never made before. So it looked as if my boss helped me. But really, I was going somewhere. As a final year student, I started a campus fellowship for the church, and that campus fellowship is still in existence till today. In fact, everybody who took over from me as a campus fellowship leader till today are pastoring churches. So one of them started his church less than a few years ago, and we're talking recently, and he said something. He said, there's something about you. You pioneered for all of us. I said, no, you guys have your capacity. He said, no. He said, there was just something about how you started and the grace on that work. So when I left the university, I got an offer to work for the ministry. It's not because they saw any revelation. It's just obvious. Look at the way he handled campus fellowship. This is the way he will handle church. You've got to develop yourself. Okay, I'm mindful of my time. The third one is this. Choice minus responsibility equals entitlement. Choice minus responsibility equals entitlement. Entitlement is a sign of immaturity, and it is a recipe for frustration. I like to describe it to people this way. There is no frustration where there has not been expectation. You cannot be frustrated at somebody, okay, from whom you did not expect something. But a lot of times, our expectation of people is what is unrealistic. That's why they frustrate us. And that's why I said I had to write this chapter in addition to the book. It's not enough for you to know what you want. It's not enough for you to know, you have taste. Taste without responsibility. It's entitlement. Some people just go around thinking, like the world owes me. This is my dream. This is my vision. Your real dream is how hard you are willing to work to bring it to pass. If not, you're just going to be an entitled person. And listen to me, if people have to carry you, then it means they can drop you at will. Do you understand what I'm saying? See, people carrying you is not a problem. If you are paying them, they will carry you. But if carrying you means they are doing you a favor, like that guy at the gates, beautiful. He did not understand the miracle he got. Because listen, let's use current day currency. If Peter and John had given him $1 million, they would have carried him for maybe another 6 months. He would still have run through that money, and it will still be at the mercy of other people. If you want to stop being carried, you have to have so much value that carrying you is putting food on people's table. Do you understand what I'm saying now? Carrying you is putting... Think about it. That's why the miracle he got was greater than the money he wanted. Because now that I can walk, I don't need to be carried. And that's what this session is all about. Don't just desire. Don't just understand. No, see. I need you to get this. When I wrote the first edition of the book, I was coming from a place of, there are plenty of people who are, from a bad place. You were raised wrong. You were raised by the wrong people. You grew up on the wrong side of town. If you read the book, that's where I started from. By going to my daddy and saying, Daddy, why do we live here? Guess what the man said? I love it here. When you grow up, you can live anywhere. And I was curious. Are you serious? And that day I made a decision. Simple little boy decision. I said, when I grow up, I'm going to live with rich people. Where to be very, very quiet. Where I don't have to greet my neighbor because I'm going out. From the night I got married till this day, I have not slept a wink in my father's house. Since my father died, I think some 10 years or thereabout ago, I have not been back to that street. It's not like I can't go there, but the trauma is too much. But then, that was the perspective from which I wrote the first book. But this is where I found myself. That if care is not taken, and you are coming from that kind of a place, you may now develop this entitlement and feel like I've gone through stuff, things have been tough. God. Sometimes you are not angry at people, it is God that you are angry at. If I've gone through that much, why don't you give me a break? I deserve it. No, you don't deserve it. That's what I found out later. That it was not because people liked me. It was because people needed me. Nobody really likes you like that. Stop being valuable and see whether they like you. Do you understand what I'm saying? So at every point in time when you sit at the table, don't wait till they ask you, what are you bringing to the table? You've got to be able to say, you know what? This is what I am bringing to the table, and this is what I'm doing to increase supply. For me, it was absurd when I ruminated over that thing we used to say when we were kids. Translated means, go with your bicycle. We don't want to play with you anymore. And I said to myself, Did you hear what you said? Who owns the bicycle? As long as it's my bicycle, I will never lack friends. And that's what I'm sharing with you. As long as you know who you are, you know why you exist, you know what you bring to the table. And these are not things you just fast and pray and get. You have to develop yourself. So when I say to people, everything I'm selling is from here up. Do you understand? What are you selling? I sell wisdom. Full stop. That was my ticket out of poverty. That was my ticket to everything. Wisdom. And do. This is the reason why people want me in their lives. I call it your point of attraction. Okay? Finally, you have to learn to build capacity for your dream. My time is up. Let me see how many questions we have, because we're going to answer the questions. So right now we have 2 questions, or rather now it's 4 questions. But let me give you this list and I'm out of your face. Because I want to quickly show you how to build capacity. Just 3 points. How to build your capacity. First, you need to know, I can build my capacity. Listen, this is important. Let me say this to you. There's nothing like this is the way I am made. There's nothing you want to learn that you cannot learn. This is one of the lies we've allowed ourselves to believe for a long time. And say, this is the way God created me. No, that is the way you started. Okay, things like, I don't like mathematics. I don't like this. I don't like that. It's a lie. There is nothing you cannot learn. There's nothing you cannot learn. Okay? 3 points, like I said. Be grateful for what's in your hands. This is the 3rd time we're talking about gratitude today. Be grateful for what's in your hands. Okay? Because these are the tools you are going to build with. These are the tools you are going to build with. So start with gratitude. Don't look at what you have and say, what is this? Look at what you have and say, Lord, I thank you for what is in my hand. I still don't like mathematics. Guess what? I don't need mathematics. Do you understand? I have an accountant to calculate money for me. Yeah. And because money is involved, I'm sharper than the accountant at times because of the money involved. But I don't need mathematics, algebra. Not to talk of further maths. I have never read the table of contents of a further maths textbook. I didn't say the textbook, the table of contents. I have not. I don't need it. And what I'm trying to let you understand is everything you need, you already have. All the connections you need, you already have. The ones that are coming are connected to the ones that you already have. But you will not recognize their potential until you start saying, I am grateful. I am grateful. I am grateful. Until you are grateful, you won't see the potential of what's in your hand, and you will not make the most of it. You will be busy complaining. And then we'll come into the future, you will still be behind, and it will look like God has not blessed you. But it is because you cannot realize what God has given you already. Think about it. If the children of Israel needed help, what help was greater than the help of God? When God was trying to help people and they still failed. It should let you understand that it is not the help that is the help. No, think about it. If someone can fail when God is the one helping you, I mean, it's like you are writing an exam and the person that is whispering answers to you is the lecturer. And you still fail. So when you hear Nigerians talk about when dollar becomes $1 to 1 naira, some people will still be poor. God forbid, but if dollar should be $1 to 2,000 naira, some people will still be buying brand new cars in this country. So make up your mind. But it starts with gratitude. Number 2, take responsibility for bigger tasks. Take responsibility for bigger tasks. You have heard me say this. If it is not stretching you, it is not helping anybody. If it is not stretching you, it is not helping anybody. So as you set goals for the next year, quit your comfort zone and begin to do things that stretch you. Read books that stretch you. Relate with people that stretch you. Stop saying, what does she think? Who does she think she is? Anybody that makes you uncomfortable is the only kind of person that can help you grow. That's the truth. People that will make your best achievement look like kindergarten. It has been said that if you are the smartest person in the room, you are in the wrong room. If you are the richest person on the table, you are at the wrong table. And these are things you have to do intentionally. I'm the one speaking at this conference right now. I am going to attend a conference where I'm likely going to be a nobody. Yeah, but I want to be in the room and listen to great minds, because that's how my mind can be greater. They say it's only the child that has not been in another person's father's farm that we say that his father's farm is the biggest. But some people like to do that. You just live in your bubble and you write your own script, you mark your own script, you grade yourself, and then you are comfortable with yourself. There is only one problem. You have no relevance to the rest of the world, so they will leave you behind. They will leave you behind. So take responsibility for bigger tasks as you go into the new year. Don't do the same things you have done before. When they are talking in the meeting, especially tasks that don't have reward. Okay? Our auditor visited not long ago, and we were in a conversation, and he explained something to the accountant, and the accountant was struggling with it. Then I engaged. By the time I explained how we were going to do it, the auditor looked at me and said, "Why didn't you study accounting?" I don't need to study it. I just operate by this simple principle. You've got to know something about everything, and then knows everything about something. The only problem is I don't know what my something is, because I want to know everything about everything. That's the truth. Some days I wake up feeling like a pastor. The other days I wake up feeling like a scammer. But because the kind of things I want to read, the kind of things I want to study, do you understand? Because I want to understand. I want to know the way the world works. I want to know the way people think. Finally, design a personal growth regime. I call it a PGR, and stick to it. Design a personal growth regimen or personal growth routine, whichever one works for you, and stick to it. Now listen to this. Your PGR is a series of activities you undertake with discipline in order to expand your capacity. Okay? So for example, I'm a faith person. To grow my spiritual life in prayer, in the area of prayer, I just don't desire to pray for long hours. I use a timer. I was sharing that with my daughter recently. So when I want to pray, I will set the timer and I will start praying. And until this timer runs down, I'm not going to leave this place. And that's how I grow my capacity. Another person said he would listen to the audio Bible, Acts of Apostles. If you listen to the Acts of Apostles audio Bible, it will take 4 hours to go from the first chapter to the last chapter. Said, and I will start playing chapter 1, and I'm not going to leave the place of prayer until we get to the last chapter. You grow capacity. It's never comfortable. You grow capacity. The same thing with your finances. You want to start saving money, or you want to start investing. Stretch. Live in the stretch zone. All right? Live in the stretch zone. Your PGR must provide you with a consistent flow of fresh and timely information. Timely and consistent flow of information. Your PGR must have a rhythm to it. Is that how you do it every day? You do it every week. You do it every month. But it has to have a rhythm. Okay? It has to have a rhythm. And then finally, your PGR must provide you with an opportunity to practice what you are learning immediately. So, when you say, this is my personal growth routine, I have told you the things that must be there. There must be a rhythm. It must provide you with what? With a flow of what? Timely information that you can actualize. Okay? It must stretch you, and you must factor in how to apply what you are learning right away. So some will not understand the reason why I used to do Life and Leadership every Wednesday. It was not just because I knew a lot and I wanted to share. It was actually a strategy for me to learn more. See, because for me to have something to share, I have to know what to share. So teaching every week was my way of actually pressuring myself to learning more than I know. So in 2023, I listened to podcasts. I learned more because I had to teach every Wednesday. Towards the end of the year, I knew that if I have to continue, this is not sustainable. Every Wednesday. So now I'm doing it every month now. Because in 2024, I need to push into some other things. So if you are just gaining knowledge, and you don't have a pressure point where you have to pass it on, when you are gaining the knowledge, you will not pay attention and retain. What I'm saying is the things that we have mastered are the things we studied in preparation for exam. So what forced us to learn is not that we loved to learn, it was exam. So when you are learning and there is no exam, for example, some of us now, you've gone to use the restroom, you are really not as engaged right now because there is no exam and there is no certificate attached to this. But if going for the checklist and getting a certificate of participation will give you a US visa, this event will not hold here. Do you understand now? Now, because of what is connected to it. So it's the same thing. Don't just say, I want to develop myself. Why? What is your exit point? What's your point of expression? Where are you going to use what you are learning? Set a goal for expression. Do you get it now? If I have to pay and I make a deal to pay, then how to make the money will appear. Still the power of deadlines. So make up your mind. Say you're going to do a podcast or you're going to write a blog every week on anything. That's when it will dawn on you that in maybe 1 or 2 months you've run out of everything you know. Now you need to learn more so that you can share more. Right? Thank you very much. Let's look at the questions and then we are out of here.